What's up, bitches?
Let's talk about crime.
What's up, bitches?
Hello.
I was just reading. I'll share with everybody what I was just reading, actually. I was just reading that Disneyland has implemented a new ride policy.
Oh, God.
And I was trying to see what the ride policy was since we're going to be there in a couple weeks. And their ride policy is you are not allowed to have loose water bottles on Incredicoaster. No shit.
Who the fuck is... Okay.
No shit. And it's like you have to either stow your water bottle securely in your bag or you have to leave it and then pick it up when you exit. For us, we have those cool ass water bottle carriers, so we can just ride because we're going to have that in our fucking bags and we're just going to hold on to them bitches.
Although I'm definitely going to empty it because of the loop-de-loop.
No, what? No, we put it like on in between our legs. We used them last time.
Yeah, but I don't want the water to like spill out.
It doesn't, as long as you have a good water bottle. You have the same one I do. Our water bottles don't spill. Okay. Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about Disney, even though that would be a really cool thing to talk about, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So, we're actually here to talk about true crime. And, you know, given that we are in December, and given that December is one of my most favorite, no, not December, Christmas is my most favorite holiday season, I thought it would be really fun and festive if for the month of December, we focus on murders that happen on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. Dun, dun, dun.
Bro, I thought we were going to talk about Krampus.
No, I mean, I could do an episode.
Isn't Krampus like supposed to be a real thing?
It is a real thing.
Supposedly.
It is a real thing. Krampus, they celebrate Krampus in like Germany.
Oh, Krampus is like an evil guy.
And you want to know what they do? There's one day that after a certain time, if you leave your home, you are leaving at your own, what do you call it?
Will?
Well, yeah, you're leaving your own will, but you're leaving your own,
safety?
Yeah, basically, if you choose to go out after this certain time, what happens to you? Oh, fucking well. And people walk around dressed up in like this Krampus like costume thing. And they walk around with bats and boards and brooms and they can beat the crap out of people. They'll hit you with them. And if you're out on the streets and you get caught with it, there's nothing you can do. It's like a whole thing. It's a real thing.
Try to come up with a fucking
It's like it's a Krampus celebration. I'm not kidding you.
How the fuck
like
is that a celebration?
I have no idea the idea behind it. So maybe I should. Maybe I really should look into what the meaning of Krampus is, why it started. Maybe I'll do that.
Like, I know it's not a true crime thing, but
no,
it's
but that would
Christmas
be interesting.
thing.
You know what? Maybe I'll do that for next week because I got to come up with a couple of episodes pretty quickly because we're going to be leaving to go to Disney. We got to record. But I don't know all the things behind Krampus, so that would be kind of interesting. So yeah, maybe we will talk about Krampus. Maybe. Don't get your hopes up because I tend to say we're going to do things and don't do them. Just kidding. Which brings me to my next point. And then we will get into what we're talking about. I am a lot of things and I have done a lot of things in my life. But the one thing I'm not is I'm not a liar. Okay. I do not lie. So I want to make this very clear. And I want to say this so that you all can hear me, especially those of you in the back. If at any time what I report is deemed as not truthful, if you think I'm slandering people, if you think I'm making some bullshit up, first of all, I don't make stuff up. Everything I talk about can clearly be found in the show notes where I post all of my research. I also do not report things that I cannot corroborate between multiple sources. So if I say something, that means that I found that fact in at least 3 of the sources that I was looking at that reported the same thing. That does not mean that it's real. It does not mean that it's truthful. It just means that's what I'm reported. I will repeat. I am a storyteller. I am not an investigator. My job is not to go out and investigate what happened. My job is to retell and report stories that have already been investigated. So, one more time, if what I say sounds untruthful, if you are somebody who knows somebody or if you have a fact that is different, please, please, please email me. Tell me, hey, you said this in the last episode. That's not factual. Here's actually what happened. And I will gladly go on and retract it. I can also go on and edit that podcast to change it. Or if there's a lot of facts that are not right because like the world just made some shit up, I can redo the whole story or pull it down and not worry about it. Like there's a lot that can be done. And I wanted to make this very clear. I wanted to make it very clear because I have definitely had some people who have reached out to me and said, hey, this didn't sound right. That didn't sound right. And I will gladly make the changes. But don't mistake me and tell me that I'm a fucking liar or that I'm slandering people because I'm not doing anything other than reporting actual facts that I found in real life as I'm researching. So again, I'm directing this at a person, so hopefully she's listening. I emailed you back. I asked you to clarify. I have yet to receive your email. But I wanted to make it clear for everybody because I've definitely stated this multiple times, and I have no problem being called out when I'm wrong, but I do have a problem being called a liar because I most definitely don't lie. Anyways, moving on. We shall get into what we're actually here to talk about today. Today we are talking about the Lawson family. Now, this takes place, you're going to be excited, Sierra.
Which means it's not old.
December 25th, 1929.
Oh my gosh. Why the fuck do you hate me?
I love it. I love doing
Why
the
do I
old
feel like
ones. I love it. This is a Christmas Day murder.
That's shitty.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy. Okay. This happens in Germantown, North Carolina, and Charles Lawson murders his wife and kids
Oh, what a piece of shit.
on Christmas Day.
Oh, wow.
So let's talk about it. Charles Davis.
His heart didn't grow 2 sizes too big.
It grew 2 sizes too small.
Mm-hmm.
So Charles Davis, Charlie Lawson. So for this episode, we're going to call him Charlie because everybody kind of called him Charlie, but anyways,
Call him Krampus.
he was born in Lawsonville, North Carolina in 1886. Now in 1911, Charles Lawson, who is 25 at the time, marries Fanny Mannering, who is 19. And they go on to have 8 children. 8 children. Now their third child, William, was born in 1914, but he does unfortunately die in 1920 of pneumonia, which sounds like crazy, but back then, that's the shit that did
normal.
it. Yeah, that was just it. Which, yeah, like
Pneumonia now isn't, it's the same, but like pneumonia now.
well, we just have a lot of things
treatment-wise.
now for treatments, but I do sit there when I read stories like this. I always think it would be cool. I think it would be so cool to be alive during like the flapper girl ages and, Gatsby type, like 20s, 30s, 40s. But I also don't think it'd be cool because of shit like that. Like people died of like the flu. I know people die of the flu now. I'm not saying that, but more people, we didn't have the medical technologies that we have now. And so it's like, oof, I don't know. Now in 1918, the family ends up moving to Germantown, North Carolina. And this was after Charles' brothers. He had 2 brothers that had also moved there. And it was kind of like, I think one of those things where it's like they moved there. Kind of like our Texas family. It's like, come on down, type thing. Difference is I'm not going to Germantown. Like I'm not going to Texas. But anyways, so they end up moving to Germantown. Now the family actually works as tenant tobacco farmers. Now they would work and they would save money because they eventually wanted to own their own farm. Now a tenant tobacco farmer is literally what you would think it is, because a tenant is like somebody who rents a space, like a home. So it is someone who grows tobacco, but rents the land from somebody else. So they would go to somebody's like basically farmland and rent a part of their farm. They would plant their crops of tobacco. They would work it. They'd own the tobacco, like they'd harvest the tobacco, sell it. They keep the profits, but they paid rent for the land. Then eventually the family does save up enough money and they end up buying their own tobacco farm in 1927. Now, to the neighbors and to the outside people who knew of the family, they actually felt that they were just like a hardworking farming family, helpful in the community, just like your normal family of farmers. And by the way, back in the 20s, well, and I don't even know, maybe today it's the same, but farmers they weren't like rich. They didn't have a lot of money. They worked hard for their money. They had enough money to survive, but they weren't well-to-do or like well-off or anything like that. Now, at one point, Charlie and his wife start renovating their home because they live in this kind of older farmhouse. Well, during this time when they start to renovate, Charlie ends up actually hitting himself in the head with I think it was a piece of wood or something that when he was doing the renovation. And it was reported that after that incident, his demeanor kind of changed. Now, many reported that his personality changed to where he started to become angry over things. And it actually was
been a hard ass hit. My God.
Right. Yeah, it must have been a really hard hit. But it's not the first time that you've heard of people who got hit. Remember what the very first episode we ever did of our podcast, The Clutter Family. Remember one of the guys, he had been in that car accident, suffered a brain injury, and his demeanor totally changed. Like, it's a thing. Now, many people even reported that he actually started to do things like hit his wife, which he had never done before. So he became abusive. Now, in 1929, we're going to get right into it. This is a few days, a few people said a couple of days. Some person said 10 days. But basically, before Christmas, Charlie says to his family, everybody, I want you guys, I want all of us to go into town. I have a surprise for us. So they all go into town. And his surprise to them was that he was going to buy them all new clothes, all of them. And the reason for buying the clothes is he was also surprising them with having a family portrait taken. And you have to understand that back then, that would not be normal for somebody who was a farmer because they didn't have a lot of money, and to get your portraits taken back then were a very fancy thing to do, right? Now, this included his 37-year-old wife at the time, Fanny, his son, Arthur, his daughter, Marie, his daughter, Carrie, his daughter, Maybelle, his son, James, his son, Raymond, and his 4-month-old daughter, Mary Lou. So these are all of his kids and his wife. They all get their new clothes. He then says, let's go get our portrait taken. It's also unusual for Charlie because he was not wealthy by any means, and he was a penny pincher. He did not spend money. He was frugal. And so it's like, holy cow. And his wife even said to him, like, are you like, we don't need to do this. He's like, no, we do need to do, I want to do this. And she's like, all right. So there is a portrait. If you're looking at this podcast episode on anything other than Apple Podcast, you are looking at the portrait of the family because that's what the cover is. Now, there were speculations at this point that he did this to commemorate his family because he knew what their fate was going to be on Christmas Day. So a lot of people feel, hindsight now, he did this because he knew what was going to happen on Christmas Day, and the clothes he bought them were fancier clothes. So some people even said that it was their burial clothes, what he would have wanted them to have in burial clothes. Now, on Christmas Day, the family is out doing their normal Christmas stuff, which I don't know. I mean, everybody's Christmas days are different, and I don't know, Christmas back then was way different than Christmas now. And Charles asks Arthur, his son, his oldest son, and he asks his oldest son, like, hey, go out. I need you to go run an errand for me. Now, here's the thing. The stories on this are a little bit different. So one story says that Arthur was actually out hunting with Charles and with his cousin that day. And they were out hunting and they ran out of bullets. And one of the stories is that Charlie looked at Arthur and said, hey, we don't have any more bullets. Run into town, go buy the bullets, come back. And then we can go back out and continue hunting. Another one said that they just sent, that he was sent off to go run an errand of some sort. Regardless, the fact of the matter is Arthur was sent out on that day. A little after Arthur leaves, Carrie and Maybelle is 7, Carrie is 12. And Arthur, by the way, the reports I saw, he was 16 years old. There were a few that reported him to be 19, but I'm pretty sure he was 16 years old. So 7-year-old Maybelle, 12-year-old Carrie, They are getting ready to leave to go to their aunt and uncle's home that is not very far from where they currently live. They're going over there to wish their family a Merry Christmas. So they get bundled up into their stuff. They start walking out. Well, as the two girls walk past the tobacco barn, because, you know, they have their home and they have the barn. As they walk past the tobacco barn, Charlie is sitting near the tobacco barn waiting with a shotgun. And once the girls are in range, Charlie shoots both girls, one with a rifle and the other with a shotgun. He then also bludgeons Carrie and Maybelle with the rifle to, I guess, ensure that they were dead. And then he drags their bodies back into the barn. After he does this, he then goes to the house. Now, when he walks up to the house, he does see his wife, Fanny, and she is sitting on the porch. And he walks up to her and he shoots and kills her in that moment. Then he reloads his shotgun, opens the door. And as he opens the door, his oldest daughter, Marie, is standing right inside the door and he shoots her. And then at that time, his two younger sons run and hide because they're scared. And he again reloads his gun, walks around looking for his other children. It must be stated right here that it is also known the exact time that this happened because the shotgun blast was so strong that it ends up stopping a clock that is in their kitchen. And the clock is stopped at 1:25 p.m. So they know. Now, they don't know, like, obviously how long he was in there, but they know that at 1:25 p.m., that was when he killed Marie because the clock stopped when he killed her. Now, there are some conflicting stories of how he killed James and Raymond. He does eventually find them. Some say that he had used the gun to kill them. Others say that they were beaten to death. But regardless, they were killed. And then he proceeds to kill his 4-month-old daughter, Mary Lou, while she is still in her crib. Now, after Charlie kills his family, he then takes the bodies and he actually repositions them. And the family members that he killed in the home, he repositions them with their pillows under their heads. They're on the floor and their pillows are under their heads and their arms are crossed as if they were laying in caskets. Now, Charlie's brother, Elijah, is out hunting with his son on this day. And he decides, I'm going to stop by Charlie's house, wish the fam a Merry Christmas. So he goes to go wish them a Merry Christmas. They get there around 3 p.m. And what they initially discover is the two girls in the tobacco barn. Now, the two girls in the tobacco barn are also repositioned. They had been dragged into the barn by Charlie. He had placed rocks under their heads as if they were pillows, and their arms were crossed as well. And Elijah sees them. And after this, he immediately goes into the home. And when he gets into the home, he sees the other bodies of the family members, all of them laying on the floor. They all looked like they were arranged in a manner as if they were ready to be buried, is what he said. Clearly, they had their arms crossed. And they were like, like almost like in a casket because they have like the pillows and shit in the casket. Right. So I can see that. However, noticeably, Charlie is nowhere to be found and neither is Arthur. And so Elijah's kind of like, what the fuck? So first thing Elijah does is sends his boys, says, go look for your cousin Arthur. I'm going to contact the police and I need to go find my brother. And I'm really truly thinking in this moment, he probably is thinking they're both dead as well.
He's probably thinking they're dead or like they got kidnapped.
Yeah, I don't think at any point he thinks either one of them is actually responsible for these murders. Now, Arthur is found by the cousins and they basically rush him back to the farm. And Arthur is devastated at the loss of his entire family. Minus his father, everybody in his family is dead. Now, police and other people start searching everywhere for Charlie at this point because they still can't find him. And they've been yelling for him and looking for him, going through the woods, doing all this stuff. And just before sunset, the people who are all at the family farm looking and searching and yelling, they hear a gunshot ring out from the wooded area behind the house. They also hear the howls of Charlie's 2 beagle dogs. And so they follow the direction of the dog howls and the shots, and they end up finding Charlie dead in the woods. But they also find that there was a path that circled a big pine tree in the woods. And this indicated to them that Charlie had actually been pacing around this tree for quite some time before he killed himself, because they're noticing it's like it's snow. There's snow. So they notice this worn down path of just footprints, and they're looking at it and they're looking at it and they're just like, okay. They also find on Charlie's body that there are 2 notes that were unfinished that were found on his body. The first one read, "Blame no one but I." And the second one read, "Trouble will cause." Okay. Now, at that point, I think they put together that he murdered his family and then killed himself. Now, the family is actually buried together, all of them together. The family is buried in one big, long burial plot area. This plot was 18 feet long and 9 feet wide. And they put all of them, and they were all in caskets. They didn't just like toss the bodies in. Like, they all had caskets. They had proper funeral, and they were all buried on December 28th. And Arthur did actually attend the family's funeral, and because again, he's the only living child. But the question still remains as to why would Charlie have killed his family? Like, why? What happened to this guy to where all of a sudden he just like murders his whole entire family minus his son? Now, they don't really get any answers because the police, so after the police are called, they do their quote unquote investigation. But basically, once they find Charlie's body and they find he's dead, they're like, oh, murder, suicide, case closed. There are several theories as to why he did this. So we're going to discuss just a couple. So first,
my theory says brain injury.
So
that's what, I mean, he clearly has a brain injury because of how many people reported his behaviors and things like that. So I think there was that, or I don't know if it works. Like, if you get a brain injury psychologically, can it make you like see voices and like, can trauma cause that in a brain? If so, that's where I would think it is. Is it okay? No, but I'm just saying that's where I think it is that I think it's all stemming from his brain injury is where I think that would be my guess as to why he did it.
Okay. Well,
hence the whole pacing around.
To be fair, I mean, I'm kind of right there with you, but let me just tell you the theories. There's 3 of them. Theory number 1 is people wondered if it had to do with the stock market crash, because that happened right before the murders. Like, the stock market tanked and then he murders his family. They felt that maybe he was worried that he was going to lose everything, and the fact that he had 7 children and a wife to take care of, that just get rid of them all. However, this really doesn't make much sense, because after he died, they looked into his finances, and his finances were completely in order at the time of the murders, and there wasn't any signs of any sort of financial problems. The second theory is the brain injury. It makes it plausible that his injury may have caused permanent brain damage, resulting in his changed behavior that led him to kill his entire family. Now, there was an autopsy that was supposedly done after he died, and his brain was actually removed by Johns Hopkins Hospital to look at it. Now, it was found at the time that there were no abnormalities present in his brain, which means he did not have a permanent brain injury. However, hear me clearly, the records for this autopsy have never actually been found. The claim is that they have just been lost over time. Like, oh, we just lost them is the only explanation. So there's a chance that this never happened. There is a chance that Johns Hopkins Medical Center never did an autopsy and removed his brain. And there's a chance that nobody was ever able to say he did not have abnormalities in his brain.
Right.
Now, the third theory. Now, this theory is, out of the 3, the most plausible one to me is the brain injury. Still, this third one is just fucked up. But I'm going to share it because it's fucking everywhere, so don't come at me for it. This was not brought up. This third theory was not brought up until a book had been published that's called White Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Now, this was published in 1990. So this theory did not come out until 1990. Now, it is claimed that a cousin of the family, overheard a conversation back in the day that spoke about sexual abuse allegations of the oldest daughter. The conversation was supposedly Fanny was confiding in her sister-in-laws and her aunt about having a concern of an incestuous relationship between Charlie and Marie. And this conversation took place long before the murders. So one of the cousins came, basically, I am unclear if the cousin wrote the book or if the cousin was just interviewed for the book, but this book talks about how supposedly this conversation happened years before the murder, and that there was basically a thought that Charlie had been sexually abusing his oldest daughter, Marie. That's that. Then in 2006, another book is published called The Meaning of Our Tears. And this is by the same author who wrote White Christmas, Bloody Christmas. And during that book, it makes claims that a close friend of Marie's, her name was Ella May, she had actually come forward and shared that a few weeks prior to the Christmas murders, Marie had told her that she was pregnant by her father. And she also claims that both Charlie and Fanny knew about it. And then another friend who was a neighbor of the Lawson family came out and said that he knew there were serious problems in the family, but declined to speak anything further than that. So the thought process is that Charlie killed his family so that his sexual abuse of his daughter did not get out, because once she was pregnant, because she was a teenager. So once she was pregnant, it was like, okay, kill them all. Now that one to me is a little bit weird. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying he didn't sexually abuse her.
Yeah, but for me, there's not enough evidence to prove that it's...
Well, first of all, if she was pregnant, I mean, I guess maybe back in the day, they didn't do an autopsy, but you would think that they would have checked. I don't know, maybe not. Well, and the other thing is, he seemed like just a generally like good guy. And so, I don't know, like his attitude and shit didn't change until he had that injury.
That's why I'm saying that's why I feel
so
like
I just don't, yeah.
I feel like it's the brain injury.
I do too. However, when you have these stories that are created by family members,
that's when it's like
your shit.
Teeter-tottering.
Yeah, you're like, fuck. Now, family members of Charlie, there are family members of Charlie's who have said that they never believe that he's the one that was responsible for killing his family. And that's a little far-fetched to me.
I'll say that
because if he had been a victim, he would have been killed in the same manner as his family. And there's no way he was pacing that damn tree all fucking day, because he was killed. People heard the gunshot go off. They found him. He's dead. There's nobody else there. There's not like extra, and it's snowy. There's not extra sets of footprints. Like, there's no part that makes me think that he didn't kill himself. And why would he kill himself and it just doesn't make much sense. But there's also a good majority of his family members do not believe that Charlie murdered his family because of sexual abuse of Marie. I agree. I genuinely sit there and I'm like, that is such a, okay, I'm going to, don't hate me, y'all. I could see it if he had just killed her. Like, I could see it if he just like took her out hunting one day with him and it was like, oh no, she died. Like, I could see that. But why would you kill your entire family because you sexually abused one daughter who got pregnant? That makes no sense to me, especially if what it's being said is true, that Fanny knew about it. That doesn't make any sense at all. Unfortunately, there is nothing that can be really proven about this story at all today, other than the fact that we know that he's responsible for killing his family, but we don't know why, and we'll never know why, because there's nothing that we can figure out now. Everything's going to be hearsay. But no,
here on Crime Bridges, we solve crimes, and so we know it's from the brain injury. Sorry for the family.
True. That's true.
If the family hears it, I'm not judging. I'm just saying. I think it's from the.
We're saying good.
It's from the brain.
We're
injury.
Literally saying that we don't think
he
was sexually abusing anybody. Yeah. We think that if he didn't get hit in the head with that piece of wood, they'd all have lived. Now, it was reported later that Arthur had actually. This is where this is the brain injury thing. This is why I agree with it. Later on, it was reported that Arthur, the brother, the one who survived, had actually started sleeping with his clothes on, completely fully dressed, so that at any moment he could be ready to protect his mother and siblings from his father in case he got angry at night, which he never had done prior. Right. So that's the difference between night and day. And to be honest with you, I'm not trying to judge you people at Johns Hopkins Medical Center back in the fucking 30s, but I'm feeling,
I'm judging.
I'm feeling like if you pulled out a brain and you looked at, I just don't know if you would actually have the technology to see that he might have had some brain damage. I'm sorry, but that shit did not exist like that back then. Because again, Charlie became a different person behind closed doors, and Arthur, being the oldest son, protected his family. After the murders, Charlie's brother was very worried actually about Arthur and his ability to like survive and like live after the death of his entire fucking family. So to help create an income for him, Charlie's brother decides to open the farmhouse up to the public as a tourist attraction. Yeah, see, like I have to laugh because that's like,
what the fuck?
What? Now, the crime scene was on full display, including bloodstains still all over the floor. The pillows that had their heads on them full of blood still on the floor. Because it's not like crime scenes back in the day where they'd like analyze the crime scene and they go clean it up. They just like looked at what happened and was like, oh, they didn't really analyze shit because like, oh, murder, suicide. And then they just left. And this like farmhouse just sat there completely like still looking like it did the day that this shit happened, right? So he would sit in front of the house and charge 25 cents for people to go in and see it. Okay. The crime scene being on full display, people just walk through this shit. like not like a museum where you like, okay, this is weird. It's not crime related at all. Not like going in Dollywood, walking into Dolly's replica house where you have to stand behind the thing and you can just like view. No, you fucking walked like through the kitchen, over the blood, stepped over blood stains, saw the pillows on the floor with the blood. Like you just were in there, right? There was even a cake that Fanny had made for Christmas Day that was still on the kitchen table because people are fucking stupid and weird. People actually started to take raisins from the cake as a souvenir. Jeez. So Marion, who is Charlie's brother, actually had the cake put under glass so that it could remain in the kitchen. His name's Marion, yeah. His name's Marion. Marion and Elijah are his brothers. So that the cake could remain in the kitchen, but no one could take from it anymore. And I'm sitting here going, or just shut it down. Like, just shut it down because people have zero respect for the fact that your family is dead. Okay, cool. Also, people, if you ever go into a crime scene, don't fucking take shit. No. Don't especially raisins from a raisin cake. Like, what is wrong with you? You fucking weird, creepy people. I mean, this was like the 1930s that this was happening. Think of like, our world's crazier now. So like, what the fuck? This went on for 5 years.
Well, that's actually kind of wild.
Can you imagine that raisin cake 5 years later?
Can you imagine the smell in that house?
Right.
Like, I know the bodies weren't there.
The dried blood? Or like I said, the raisin cake was on display the whole time. Also, it didn't mold over? Like that. I don't even understand. That's weird. Also, bravo, I guess.
People who took the raisins, man. You might not want to eat those.
Now, Arthur never spoke of the murders, actually. And
I don't blame him.
I don't either. And he did try to go on and live a normal life. He does get married. He has 5 children. However, in 1945, he is tragically killed in a car accident. And he dies at the age of 31, leaving behind his wife and children. Yeah.
That's sad.
Now, in 1984, the house was actually torn down. So, no, we can't go visit the house here. Okay.
I didn't want to. Don't worry.
Now, the biggest questions will always remain. Why did Charlie kill his family? And more importantly, why did he leave Arthur alive? Now, there are some speculations as to why he allowed Arthur to live. And there's 2 of them that I'm like, I actually have my own thoughts. And I'll tell you my thought. My thought is he let Arthur live because Arthur was willing to fight him. Because Arthur already was willing to fight him at night. Mm-hmm. So my thought was he knew that he would not be able to walk around and kill his entire family with Arthur there.
Because he's the competition.
He's a stronger young.
That's what I'm saying.
He was a younger guy
Yeah.
who was strong, and he was willing to fight his dad and hold his dad back at any time. So he would have died trying to save his family. And so I think that I genuinely think that he sent him away out of ease for himself. Like, you know what? I'm going to let him live, but I'm going to kill the rest of them because he will make my life hard to try to do it. And truthfully, I don't think that Charlie would have been able to kill all of his family if Arthur would have been there, because remember, Arthur knew how to hunt and use guns. So if his father shot his 2 daughters first out in the tobacco barn, you bet your ass Arthur would have probably figured out what was going on and been prepared to shoot his father if he had to. You know, so it's like, that's my personal thought. The other thought that people have is that he let Arthur live so that Arthur could continue the bloodline, was the other thought. I don't see that
one.
I don't see that because his brothers could continue the bloodline.
To me, it's like the masculinity, like he's my competition and would have made it hard for me to complete whatever the fuck was going on in his brain.
Correct. So I actually agree with that. I don't think that was his. I don't think he was calculated. I don't think he was calculated enough. And
I think it was all a like with the brain injury, just like an insanity thing.
Well, and the other thing that people bring up is they talk about like the fact that he took his family to the pictures and got them the nice clothes and did all this stuff. They're like, he premeditated it. And it's like, well, yeah, we're not saying that he like one day woke up and was psycho. We're saying he had a brain injury that made him angry and made him make bad decisions. That's what we're saying.
And who knows what else was going on in his brain.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Brain injuries have caused like people to see shit and hear things and, hallucinations and shit like that. So for all we know, that could have been what's going on in his brain. And psychology back then compared to now was like definitely not. It was, not that it didn't exist, but like it was not. You don't really talk about it,
Well, and brain injuries. I mean, for fuck's sake, brain injuries have caused people to become fucking pedophiles. Like, it has them have urges all of a sudden that they've never had before. So our brains are so intricate, and when they get injured, the outcome can be devastating. And I think that's what happened with this family. Is I think he just had a tragic, fucking horrible accident that ruined his brain. And in turn, he got to a point where he felt his family and himself, because he killed himself too. I think he felt like he needed to take out his whole family for whatever reason, whatever was going on in his brain. So what do you think? I mean, I kind of know what you think, but
I think it's the brain injury.
I think it's the brain injury, and I think,
and I'm not saying it's okay, obviously, but it makes it even more sad because if it wouldn't have been for that brain injury, to me, if it wouldn't have been for the I'm not even gonna say brain injury because it was never confirmed they had a brain injury. Technically, it was debunked that he had a brain injury, but I think he had a brain injury. I think John Hopkins didn't do their job correctly, and if it wasn't for him getting hit with that wood, I really do. I don't think this family would have ever died that way.
I agree.
I just there's something in me that's saying it's the brain injury, and maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe at the end of the day it still would have happened, and I don't know. But there's just something in me. Because based on how people would describe him before and after, it is a drastic change.
That's
in
my
his
thing.
behavior.
So that's my key detail, is that when he's been described, not just by his family members, but by neighbors, by everybody else, they thought he was a hardworking like community member. And then all of a sudden he got hit in the head with this thing. And they're like, yeah, he started to do things that were different. He started to get angry in public, which he had never done before. He started to, like, he would hit his wife. His oldest son had to start feeling like he needed to protect his family, which were all things that he had not done prior to that injury. So we didn't have the technology we do now. And even now we don't understand brain injuries and, that kind of stuff. But when you think about it for reals for just 1 second, football is one of those sports that is highly studied, because how many football players have been charged with abuse? Quite a few, right? And almost every time it comes out that they have.
A concussion is a brain injury.
Yes,
but it's injuring the brain, and if you get them enough times, I'm sure it's going to alter your emotions. Or even if you get hit one hit,
it's TBI. You get a TBI.
That's what I'm saying.
You have a traumatic brain injury.
Again, am I excusing the behavior for those
guys?
But
that's not. You're not saying like, we can't do anything about it, because what we're saying. But
you just sit here and go, if it wasn't for those, if it wasn't for the wood, if it wasn't for the football play, like football tackles and things like that, would they still be that person?
Right. And they have definitely studied football players' brains.
I remember watching a whole video in college or in high school about it.
And they have found areas of the brain that are permanently damaged due to concussions.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying.
And back in the day when football was kind of like first around, or like when they first started getting like the harder helmets.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's what changed them. I can't remember because it was in the video and I can't remember what it was, but it was like the amount of brain injuries was decreased with like the helmets, like especially that we have now for football players, but it was really high. And it wasn't just like brain injuries, but it was also like brain dead and emotional behavior. Like they tested a bunch of things and it was like, that's when things started changing. I don't remember what exactly it was, or even what the fucking documentary
and again,
was.
it's and for like this episode, like for this specific episode, you know, normally I'm all like heated and like this person,
100%. In this one, I definitely think it's the brain.
I don't have that. I'm not excusing what he did, but what I'm saying though is I think it's tragic all the way around.
Yeah,
I'm saying that,
including for him.
Yeah, I'm saying this man killed his entire family. Well, almost his entire family, and we don't know why, but he also killed himself. And so therefore you'd have to, I mean, he was suffering obviously from something.
The other thing, or the other thought that I had with Arthur surviving, nobody knows what happened with the dad's brain. So again, we don't know, well, we think, but we don't know if he had a brain injury or if he was psychotic at that point and was hearing voices and these things. So my only other thought is maybe, because to me, it didn't, also like the murders, it wasn't like a calculated thing, like maybe afterwards, after they died. The other thought is, you know, when he sends Arthur away, because he was the one that sent Arthur to go get more ammo, was he in the right frame of mind then? And then after Arthur left, like something switched in his brain, like something clicked, and that's when he did that. And Arthur just happened to not be there at that time.
Well, and they say, you know, the speculations that people have are crazy. Like some people are, I mean, like I said, people go all the way into, well, he pre-calculated it or premeditated it because he got that family portrait. And I'm sitting there going, I'm on the opposite end going, or maybe he got that family portrait because he was in a moment where he just really wanted to commemorate his family. Like I wouldn't go as far as,
makes me think of like bipolar depression when I have like high highs.
That's what I'm saying.
Lows.
Like I wouldn't go as far out to be like, oh, he did that specifically so that he could have a picture. First of all, if he was planning on killing himself, he doesn't give a fuck about the picture. He's not going out and getting a picture to let him commemorate his family, because guess why? They're all going to be dead and he is too. His plan must have been to kill himself at some point, unless that's why it took him so long, is maybe he wasn't planning on killing himself, but after he did it, he was like, I can't, you know, I don't know. Nobody will ever know.
Was it one of those? He was in a traumatic state.
Yep. Or did he?
Like a manic traumatic state, did all that. And then part of the pacing was like, what the fuck did I just do?
Yep.
Obviously, you're not going to think of the kid that you sent to go off. So you're sitting there thinking to yourself, what do I do? And I'm sure he probably thought was so, because people do that sometimes where they commit the crime and then they're so like upset with themselves, especially when they think clearly, that they'll kill themselves because they just hate themselves so much. And
exactly.
That's where I think this all went down.
Well, and that's why I'm saying I can't be angry at it, because we can dislike and hate that people murder people, but at the same time, this is why I like to try to do background as much as possible, because I sit there and I'm like, sometimes shit happens and it's traumatic for everybody, including the person who did it, whether they kill themselves or go to jail or whatever. Sometimes they snapped. Sometimes shit just fucking happened and it was out of their control. And so it's like, I can't hate somebody like that didn't premeditate. I can't sit there and talk shit about somebody that I'm looking at it and going, but he had something wrong with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, I think there's an actual excuse.
I do
like,
too.
Genuinely.
I do too. I mean, he suffered the ultimate sacrifice anyways, because he died. So it wouldn't have mattered. But the point is in
it's
this.
Kind of shitty for Arthur too.
Well, that's the thing. Arthur's whole entire family.
Bad for him.
And then he dies anyways at the age of 31.
That's bullshit.
It's just really unlucky. You know, for him, not the murders, but that's unlucky. But my point is in this episode, I wanted to make it very clear that like I don't sit there and I'm not going to shit on Charlie. I don't think Charlie
was in the right frame of mind.
I don't think that if he would have never had that issue with the brain, I agree with you. I just don't think that would have been the outcome. Cause like I said, everything else said that he was a good guy, like relatively good guy.
I hope that it would have not been the same outcome.
Me too. But I mean,
cause you never know.
When you listen to his own family members, other than the one that says that he was sexually abusing his daughter, they all even said like, I just don't see it. That's why a lot of them were like, there's no way, he would have never killed his family. So like, I don't believe he killed him. And it's like, but you didn't understand back in 1929 that a really bad hit to the head.
Well, I was gonna say, if those people were to be alive now, or if it were to be a today situation.
I mean, they still could, to be fair, some of them could still be alive today. Because it was 1929 if they were younger cousins.
Not true, but I mean, like, because I feel like it wasn't as talked about in the 20s.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because there also wasn't as much science behind psychology.
No, psychology
just
was,
not even psychology, just the brain itself.
Well, yeah, we don't even. I mean, even to this day, we only understand 10% of what our fucking brain can do.
And our brain can do a fuck ton more than we all
it's
think.
Real crazy. So anyways, yes, that was the story of the Lawson murders. Sad and tragic all the way around, including Charlie's death as well. So if you like the things that you hear, and if you like listening to us talk about Christmas murders for the next 4 weeks, maybe actually 5 weeks, including this week, stay tuned because there's definitely more coming. Make sure you're
possibly Krampus.
Make sure that you're following us. If you haven't figured out the follow thing, I don't know, whatever platform you're on, there's normally like a plus button or a follow button. Just click it, because that way you don't have to search for us. Instead, you'll just get a little message that pops up that like, oh, Crime Bitch has posted another podcast, and then you can just watch it whenever you want to.
And if you don't know, our logo is a skeleton middle finger with a kiss on it, because I've also looked up our thing on some podcasts, and apparently there's people that have similar names to ours.
Other than that, thank you seriously for all the support that we've had over this past however long we've been doing this. And we have some new things coming, I think, in the works. It's going to be a hot minute, so we're not going to talk too much about it, but we have some new ideas and some new things, and I'm excited for them. I think Sierra might be excited. I don't know if she is or not. I don't know. We'll see. Thank you so much for listening to us talk about the Christmas Day Lawson murders. Until next week. Catch you on the flip side, bitches.
Bye, bitches.